The domed chamber of the Galactic Federation Council hummed with the low-frequency chatter of 100 different species. Floating platforms arranged in concentric rings held diplomats from across the known galaxy, their varied forms silhouetted against the massive holographic projection at the room's center. Earth hung there, blue and vulnerable, its continents outlined in the harsh light of Zenthar, Fe's swirling atmosphere. Ambassador Krelix of the Zeperian Dominion tapped his chitinous fingers against a datapad, the clicking sound echoing across the suddenly quiet chamber. His segmented eyes reflected the hologram's glow as he straightened his ceremonial carapace plating. "The vote is unanimous," he announced, mandibles twitching in what humans would call a smirk. "The Galactic Cosmic Weather Service's prediction stands. Earth will be destroyed in 30 standard rotations." A murmur rippled through the assembled delegates. Captain Lisa Hayes, the lone human observer permitted in the chamber, didn't flinch. She stood ramrod straight in her charcoal grey uniform, her hands clasped behind her back. The golden eagle insignia on her shoulder caught the light as she turned her head slightly, watching the reactions of the other species. High Prognosticator Vex of the Vorak Science Collective floated forward on his anti-grav disc, his bulbous cranial sac pulsing with self-satisfaction. "The hyperstorm is a Class the Teeth cosmic event," he intoned, his voice dripping with false sympathy. "No known shielding can withstand its particle waves. The Federation offers evacuation transports for any valuable species currently residing on Earth." Hayes' jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. She'd seen this coming the moment the GCWS report had crossed her desk. The timing was too perfect. Just as humanity's new deep space defense grid reached Fey completion, Krelix spread his upper limbs in a gesture of mock benevolence. "We Zeperians have graciously allocated 3 transports, capacity for 12,000 life forms." His antennae twitched toward Hayes. "Assuming your people can be persuaded to leave their doomed world." A Saurian delegate hissed laughter through its nasal slits. The Cerelian ambassador's bioluminescent spots flashed amusement in ultraviolet patterns invisible to human eyes. Hayes took a single step forward. The click of her boots on the alloy floor silenced the chamber. "Earth Command acknowledges the Federation's concern," she said, her voice cool. "But humanity declines evacuation." Vex's cranial sac darkened with surprise. "You would sacrifice billions. We've weathered storms before." Hayes tapped her wristcom, and the hologram shifted to display the GCWS data stream. "Your models show the hyperstorm's core passing within Fei-Fei-U of Earth. That gives us a Fei-Hor window of maximum danger." Krelix's mandibles clacked in irritation. "Your primitive calculations are irrelevant. The GCWS has never been wrong." "Never," Hayes arched an eyebrow. "The Zeperian monsoon of Fei, the false supernova alert in the Rigel sector." She swiped her hand through the hologram, pulling up archived reports. "Your service has a Fei margin of error on catastrophic events." Vex's disk wobbled. "This is different. The quantum signatures are identical to Vorak warp drive emissions." Hayes cut him off. She didn't miss how the prognosticator's tendrils stiffened at the accusation. "Funny coincidence." The chamber erupted. A Tentacrian delegate sprayed alarm pheromones. The Saurian ambassador's crest flared crimson. Krelix slammed a forelimb against his podium. "Eno, the matter is settled. Earth has 30 days. After that," he gestured at the hologram, where the GCWS simulation showed the hyperstorm tearing the planet apart. Hayes nodded once. "Understood." She turned to leave, then paused. "One question, Prognosticator Vex." The Vorak scientist bristled. "What?" "Your models predict the storm's energy output at Fei joules." Hayes tapped her wristcom again. A new readout appeared beside Earth's image. Humanity's deep space array measured the last hyperstorm at Fei. That is 2 orders of magnitude difference. Vex's cranial sac flushed purple. "Your instruments are crude, or someone's fudging the numbers." Hayes smiled, a thin, dangerous expression. "We'll see in 30 days, won't we?" As the chamber doors hissed shut behind her, The last thing she heard was Krelix snarling to his aides. Double the surveillance on their shipyards. I want to know if they so much as sneeze in the wrong direction. Outside, in the transit tube leading to the human delegation's quarters, Hayes finally let her composure crack. She activated her secure comlink. Cole. They took the bait. General Marcus Cole's gravelly voice crackled through the speaker. Good. Let them think we're scared. How long until they notice our decommissioned fleet? Hayes watched through the transparent alloy wall as a Superior warship drifted past, its weapons ports gleaming. Long enough. She cut the connection and whispered to the stars. Storm's coming, bastards. Hope you brought an umbrella. The war room beneath the Alps was silent except for the hum of cooling systems and the occasional beep from a console. General Marcus Cole stood before the massive holodisplay, arms crossed, watching the swirling mass of violet energy the Galactic Cosmic Weather Service called Earth's death sentence. The projection showed the hyperstorm's path in cold, precise vectors, 30 days until impact. No margin of error. No survival possible. Around him, junior officers whispered. Some clenched fists. Others wiped sweat from their brows. But Cole just stared. His scar, a jagged line from forehead to jaw, itched. But he didn't scratch it. Dr. Eli Vance burst through the blast doors, his lab coat flapping. The astrophysicist's wild grey hair stuck up in every direction, and his grin was too wide for a man who just heard his planet was doomed. You're not going to believe this, he said, shoving a data pad into Cole's hands. Cole glanced at the screen. Explain. Vance tapped the pad, pulling up 2 energy signatures side by side. The storm's M profile, and this, he swiped to another graph. Vorak warp drive emissions from their border skirmishes last year. Notice anything? A young lieutenant leaned in. They're identical. Bingo. Vance's laugh echoed off the steel walls. This isn't some natural phenomenon. It is engineered. Someone's playing God with the weather. Cole's jaw tightened. He turned to the comm officer. Recall all patrol fleets. Full stand-down order. The room erupted. Sir, we should evacuate. At least launch the quiet. Cole's voice cut through the chaos. He pointed at the holodisplay. That storm's a weapon, which means someone's holding the trigger, and we don't panic when we're being hunted. He turned to Vance. How long to confirm this? Vance was already typing furiously on a console. Give me 12 hours with the deep space arrays. But Marcus, he paused, eyes gleaming. If I'm right, we can track the storm's origin, maybe even predict its real behavior. Across the room, a comms screen flickered to life. Admiral Petra Ngio's face appeared, her dark eyes sharp even through the static. General, the Defiance is receiving evacuation requests from 3 lunar colonies. Orders. Cole didn't hesitate. Deny them. Tell everyone to stay put. Ngio's eyebrow rose. You realize what you're asking. I'm asking them to trust we know what we're doing. Cole leaned closer to the screen. And Petra, power down all weapons systems. Let the Vorak spy satellite see us rolling over. A murmur ran through the war room. Ngio's lips twitched. You're setting a trap. Just following the weather report. Cole turned back to Vance. 12 hours. Then we show the galaxy what happens when you try to drown a species that learned to swim in hurricanes. Vance chuckled, fingers flying over holographic keys. You know, the Vorak always bragged their warp drives were undetectable, but they never accounted for human paranoia. He pulled up a star map, dozens of red dots flaring to life. Our deep space gravitic sensors picked up anomalies weeks ago. Tiny ripples we thought it was equipment glitches. Cole studied the map. The dots formed a rough path leading straight to Vorak space. So they've been testing this, like tossing pebbles before the boulder. Vance zoomed in on Earth's position. But here is the fun part. Hyperstorms are chaotic, unpredictable, unless, he tapped a command, and the projected storm shifted, its edges becoming sharper, more defined. Unless you've got a way to guide it. The lieutenant gasped. They're steering the storm like a damn cruise missile. Vance grinned. Which means if we can hack their guidance system. Cole's comm beeped. A message from Mars shipyards scrolled across his wrist display. Atlantica modifications proceeding ahead of schedule. False leak deployed. He allowed himself a small smile. Then we turn their doomsday weapon into a backdoor. Outside, beneath the Alps, the first automated defense platforms powered down. The USN Defiance's massive railguns retracted. To any watching alien eyes, Earth was surrendering to its fate. But deep in the war room, monitors flickered with new data. Vance's team worked in silent frenzy, isolating frequencies, tracing signals. The storm's countdown ticked away on the main display. Fey days, fey hours, fey minutes. Cole watched the numbers fall, not with dread, with anticipation, sir. The lieutenant hesitated. What if the Federation finds out what we're planning? Cole didn't take his eyes off the storm. Let them. By the time they realize we're not running, it'll be too late. He turned to Vance. Wake up the old Project Stormbreaker files and get me Chen. I want her squadron prepped yesterday. Vance whistled. You're really going to weaponize a hyperstorm? No, Cole's scar twisted as he smiled. We're going to weaponize their arrogance. Alarms blared as new data poured in. The storm's energy readings spiked. Vance whooped. Got it. The control signal's embedded in the M pulses. It is faint, but... Can we hijack it? Cole asked. Vance's grin turned feral. Give me 3 days and a really big antenna. Outside, the first civilian transports reached orbit, their holds empty, despite the evacuation orders. News feeds across the galaxy showed images of Earth's cities. Calm, quiet waiting. The commentary was pitying. Poor humans, the alien analysts said, they don't even know how to scream. In the war room, Cole watched the Defiance's reactors go cold. Perfect. Let them think humanity had given up. Let them think right up until the storm turned. The dry dock lights flickered as the last of the USN Atlantica's outer plating drifted away in zero gravity. Commander Jake Morrison watched from the observation deck, his boots magnetized to the floor. Below him, a swarm of engineers in reinforced exosuits worked with methodical precision. Their plasma torches cut through Durasteel like butter, sending molten droplets spiraling into the vacuum where they cooled into glittering spheres. Decommissioning going well, Commander? Asked Chief Engineer Vasquez through the comms. Her voice crackled with static from the interference of 100 simultaneous welds. Morrison smirked, tapping his wrist display to bring up the ship's schematics. The Atlantica was a relic, officially. A third-generation dreadnought, too slow for modern fleet engagements. At least, that is what the report said. Right on schedule, Chief Federation observers will be pleased. A shadow moved near the dry dock's support struts. Morrison didn't turn his head. He'd spotted the Vorak spy drones hours ago. Small, crab-like machines clinging to the superstructure, their optical sensors recording every bolt removed, every plate stripped. Vasquez snorted. They really think we're just giving up? Wouldn't you? Morrison kept his voice low. If some fancy alien weather service told you your planet was toast in 30 days. Below, a team of engineers hauled away a section of the Atlantica's dorsal armor. The exposed inner frame pulsed with new circuitry, fresh conduits snaking through the skeleton of the ship. Storm, chaser shielding installed in Sector Fey, reported a technician over the comms. Resonance capacitors at Fey efficiency. Morrison nodded. The Vorak drones wouldn't see it. To them it would look like standard scrapping, humanity dismantling its defenses, surrendering to the inevitable. A new voice cut into the channel. Commander, we've got another Federation probe entering the perimeter. It was Lieutenant Cho from Orbital Security, Superior signature. They're scanning the shipyards. Morrison exhaled. Let them look. He tapped a command into his wrist display. Instantly, the Atlantica's internal lights dimmed, the ship's power readings dropping to near zero on the main grid. a perfect illusion of a dying vessel. Vasquez chuckled. You ever think about theater, sir? You'd make a hell of an actor. Just following the script, Chief. Morrison glanced at the schematics again. The Atlantica wasn't being scrapped. Every removed plate was being replaced with hyperstorm. Resistant alloy. Every decommissioned weapon system was being upgraded to channel cosmic energy. The Vorak had made one mistake. They'd assumed humanity would panic when the GCWS announced Earth's doom. They hadn't counted on human skepticism. Commander, Cho said again, urgency creeping into his tone. The probe's adjusting course. It is heading for Drydock Faye. Morrison's smirk widened. Drydock Faye was where they'd staged the Atlantica's reactor core removal. A complete fabrication. The core was still there, humming quietly beneath layers of false diagnostics. Let it get a good look, Morrison ordered. Make sure they see the empty casing we left out. A welder's torch flared below, casting long shadows across the dry dock. One of the Vorak drones scuttled closer, its sensors fixated on the exposed reactor housing. Vasquez muttered, "Hope they like the show." Morrison crossed his arms. "Oh, they will, right up until the curtain falls." A proximity alarm blipped on his display. The Zeperian probe was now within Faye meters, its scanners sweeping the Atlantica's hull. Morrison waited, counting the seconds. Then, just as planned, the probe's signal winked out. It had detected the disabled reactor and moved on satisfied. Probes returning to Federation space. Cho confirmed. Morrison exhaled. Phase 1 complete below. The engineers resumed their work. But now, with renewed intensity, the Atlantica's skeleton was nearly ready. Hidden beneath its stripped exterior, the ship was being reforged into something new. Something the Vorak wouldn't expect, Chief, Morrison said. Tell the team to prep the secondary systems. I want the Storm Chaser arrays online in fade hours. Vasquez grinned. Already on it, sir. The boys in RFAD outdid themselves this time. Morrison glanced at the schematics one last time. The Atlantica wasn't a relic, it was a trap, and the Vorak had just walked right into it. Outside the dry dock, the stars burned cold and distant, unaware. Just like the aliens who thought they'd predicted humanity's end, the hyperstorm arrived right on schedule. Admiral Petra, NGO, watched from the bridge of the USN Defiance as the leading edge of the storm tore through the outer solar system. Violet lightning crackled across the void, distorting sensor readings and scattering comms. The storm was beautiful in its devastation, an unstoppable force of nature, or so the Galactic Federation believed. All ships, hold position, NGO ordered, her voice calm. The Defiance hung in high orbit, flanked by Earth's remaining orbital defense platforms. Their weapons were powered down, their shields at minimal output. To any watching eyes, humanity looked resigned to its fate. A chuckle crackled over the encrypted command channel. They're really buying it, Admiral. Commander Jake Morrison's voice was laced with satisfaction. His ship, the Atlantica, floated near Mars, its hull still bearing the scars of its supposed decommissioning. NGO allowed herself a small smile. Let them. Then the storm hit Earth's perimeter, and the trap was sprung. The first Vorak ships decloaked in the storm's wake, their angular silhouettes emerging from the cosmic chaos like predators from shadow. Dozens at first, then hundreds. The dreadnought Fang of Zentha led the charge, its massive plasma cannons glowing hot. Fleetmaster Crack's face filled the main view screen, his chitinous mandibles spread in a victorious grin. Admiral NGO, he hissed, his voice dripping with mock sympathy. A pity your species could not be saved. But do not worry, we will make good use of your world. NGO didn't flinch. You're late, Cracks, we've been expecting you. Crack's grin faltered. That was when Earth's orbital platforms roared to life. The defense grid, supposedly crippled by the storm's electromagnetic interference, lit up like a constellation of fire. Railgun batteries swiveled, missile silos opened, and the Defiance's shields flared gold as they absorbed the storm's energy instead of resisting it. All ships, NGO commanded. Engage storm. Rider protocols. Across the battlefield, human vessels activated their modified shielding. The Atlantica surged forward, its reinforced hull drinking in the hyperstorm's fury like a sponge. Lightning arced across its surface, channeled into capacitors, meant for one purpose: payback. Lieutenant Ava Chen's voice cut through the chaos. Stormbreaker Squadron launching. Her experimental fighters shot from the Defiance's hangars, their wings crackling with stolen storm energy. Chen's fingers danced across her controls as she lined up her first shot. Let's see how they like their own weather. The Vorak fleet had no time to react. Chen's railgun fired, a bolt of hypercharged metal that punched clean through a cruiser's shields. The ship detonated in a flash of violet lightning, its wreckage scattering into the storm. Across the battlefield, human ships turned the Vorak's own deception against them, their weapons supercharged by the very phenomenon meant to doom Earth. Crack's voice was a snarl over the comms. Impossible. Your shields should be failing. NGO leaned forward, her eyes locked on the Fang of Zenthar. You shouldn't have trusted the forecast fleetmaster. The Atlantica chose that moment to strike. Morrison's ship plowed into the side of a Vorak battleship, its storm-charged hull ripping through armor like paper. The impact sent a cascade of energy through both vessels, overloading the Vorak ship's core in seconds. The explosion lit up the battlefield, a second sun blooming in the darkness. Prognosticator Vex, voice shrieked over the open channel. This was not in the models. The storm was supposed to... To what? NGO interrupted. Leave us defenseless, sorry to disappoint. The Defiance's main batteries locked onto the Fang of Zenthar. Crack's mandibles twitched. For the first time, fear flickered in his compound eyes. NGO didn't give him time to speak. Fire. The Defiance's guns roared, their payloads enhanced by the storm's stolen energy. The Fang of Zenthar's shields buckled, then failed entirely. Crack's final transmission was cut short as his ship split apart, its wreckage swallowed by the storm. Chen whooped as another cruiser exploded. They brought an apocalypse. We brought a welcome party. NGO watched the remnants of the Vorak fleet scatter, their invasion in ruins. The storm still raged around them, but now it was a weapon in human hands. She opened a fleet, wide channel. All vessels advance. Let's give them the rest of the forecast. The battlefield became a storm of its own. Human and Vorak ships locked in a deadly dance amidst the hyperstorm's fury. Lightning crackled between hulls, painting the void in violet and gold. The USN Defiance held position at the center of the formation, its shields flaring as storm energy washed over them. Admiral Petra NGO watched the tactical display, her fingers steepled. All ships, maintain formation. Let them come to us. Lieutenant Ava Chen's hands tightened on the controls of her Stormbreaker fighter. The experimental craft hummed beneath her, its modified railguns charged with stolen storm energy. Squadron, check in, she said, her voice calm despite the chaos outside. Storm 2, ready. Storm 3, locked and loaded. Storm 4, just waiting for the fun to start. Chen smirked. Then let's not keep them waiting. The Stormbreakers shot forward, weaving through the debris of the Vorak vanguard. Ahead, the Fang of Zenthar loomed, its jagged hull bristling with weapons. Fleetmaster Crack's voice crackled over the open channel, thick with amusement. Pathetic, you think your little ships can scratch us? Chen didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her targeting computer beeped, lock acquired. Fire! The Stormbreakers unleashed their payloads. Railgun rounds, supercharged by the hyperstorm's energy, streaked across the void. They struck the Fang's shields and punched straight through. Explosions rippled across the dreadnought's hull, armor plating buckling like paper. Crack's laughter died mid-sentence. On the Defiance's bridge, NGO allowed herself a small smile. That's one shield down. All capital ships focus fire on the Fang. The human fleet responded in unison, railguns, plasma cannons, even repurposed mining lasers. All of them fed by the storm's energy hammered the Vorak flagship. The Fang of Zenthar shuddered, its engines sputtering. Prognosticator Vex's voice screeched over the comms, panic bleeding through. Impossible. This was not in the models. The storm should have crippled you. Chen banked hard, dodging a spray of Vorak point defense fire. Yeah, well, she muttered. Guess your models need an update. A new alert blared on her console, the Atlantica. What had been a decommissioned wreck was moving. Its hull, reinforced with storm, chaser shielding, glowed white, hot as it plowed through the battlefield. Commander Jake Morrison's voice cut through the noise, cheerful as ever. Mind if we cut in? The Atlantica slammed into a Vorak cruiser at full burn, its prow shearing through the enemy ship like a knife. Debris scattered, and for a moment the battlefield seemed to pause. Then the Atlantica's engines flared again, carrying it toward the Fang. Crack's voice returned, this time edged with something unfamiliar, fear. You're insane. That storm will tear you apart. Morrison's grin was audible. Nah, we've got a warranty. The Atlantica hit the Fang amidships, its reinforced hull absorbing the hyperstorm's energy, even as it transferred the force into the dreadnought. Metal screamed. The Fang's spine fractured, its massive frame buckling under the strain. Vex was screaming now, his voice raw. Retreat. All ships retreat. But it was too late. Chen's squadron looped around for another pass, their railguns humming with fresh charge. Stormbreakers, finish it. The final volley struck the Fang's exposed core. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the dreadnought's reactors went critical, the explosion lighting up the void like a newborn star. The shockwave rippled outward, scattering the remaining Vorak ships. Some tried to flee, only to be caught in the storm's lingering tendrils. Others simply drifted, their crews stunned into silence. On the Defiance, Admiral NGO straightened her jacket. General Cole, you're going to want to see this. Cole's face appeared on the main screen, his scarred features set in grim satisfaction. I'm looking, and I think it's time we sent a message. Chen leaned back in her cockpit, breathing hard. Around her, the storm began to fade, right on schedule. She keyed her mic Storm 1 to command. Target neutralized. What's next? Cole's voice was calm, almost conversational. Next, Lieutenant, we give the galaxy a new weather report. The bridge of the USN Defiance hummed with quiet intensity. Admiral Petra NGO watched the last of the Vorak ships drift lifelessly through the debris field. Their hulls still crackling with residual storm energy. The hyperstorm had dissipated exactly as predicted, right on schedule. Too convenient. General Marcus Cole's face appeared on the main screen, his scarred features set in grim satisfaction. Admiral, we've got the package. Petra nodded. Play it. A burst of static resolved into a Vorak transmission. Fleetmaster Crack's voice, distorted but unmistakable. Prognosticator Vex, confirm the storm's trajectory. Human defenses must be offline before we strike. Another voice, colder, more precise. Vex himself. The models are flawless. Their orbitals will be blind. Move the Armada into position. The recording cut to a different timestamp. Crack's laughter boomed. They actually believed it was natural, pathetic soft skins. By the time they realized their world, silence filled the bridge. Then Cole's voice, low and dangerous. Patch me through to the Federation Council. Across the galaxy, in the shimmering chambers orbiting Zenthar, Fey Ambassador Krelix of the Zepyrian Concord lounged on his floating platform. The other delegates murmured as the emergency channel activated. Cole's face filled the central hollow. Krelix's chitinous fingers twitched. General Cole, we assumed Earth's communications were destroyed. Cole finished. Funny thing about assumptions. He leaned closer to the feed. You've been played, Ambassador, just like we were. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Prognosticator Vex's image flickered into view beside Cole's, his bulbous eyes narrowing. This is outrageous. The storm was a verified phenomenon. Cole didn't let him finish. Oh, it was real, just not natural. He gestured off, screen, play the rest. The recording resumed, Vex's voice hushed this time. Adjust the GCWS forecast. Make sure the evacuation orders exclude human vessels. Let them drown in their own panic. Krellick's exoskeleton paled. Cole crossed his arms. The Galactic Cosmic Weather Service didn't predict our doom, Ambassador. They orchestrated it, a cover for the Vorak to wipe us out. Vex's tendrils lashed. Lies, this is human deception. Then explain this. Cole's image split, revealing a new feed. A Vorak dreadnought's internal logs. Timestamps matched the GCWSS hyperstorm warning to the minute. Engine signatures flared. Vorak warp drives, not cosmic turbulence. The chamber erupted. Cole waited. When the uproar faded, he spoke again, softer now. We knew the moment your storm hit. The energy signature was identical to Vorak propulsion tech, so we let you think we'd surrendered. His lips curled. We even helped your narrative, leaked false data about our desperation. Krellick's mandibles clicked. You knew. Every second, Cole's eyes hardened. The hyperstorm wasn't our end, Ambassador. It was your countdown. Off-screen, someone shouted, the Defiance's tactical officer. Sir, Zephyrian observation fleet is powering weapons. Petra didn't flinch. Lock guns. Hold position. Cole didn't even glance away from the feed. Going to finish what the Vorak started, Krellick's. The Ambassador recoiled. We had no part in this. Then stand down. Cole's voice carried the weight of a planet's fury, because the next weather report goes out to the entire Federation, with proof of who helped the Vorak manipulate the GCWS. Silence then. Slowly, the Zephyrian ships powered down. Cole exhaled. Smart choice. He turned to someone off. Screen. Dr. Vance. You're up. The astrophysicist's grinning face replaced Cole's. Oh, this'll be fun. His fingers danced across a console, uploading revised forecast now. A central hollow in the Federation chamber flickered. A new alert blared across every screen. Cataclysmic solar flare detected. Vorak homeworld impact imminent. Fehor evacuation window. Probability of survival. Fef's scream was pure static. You can't, Vance winked. Funny how forecasts work, huh? On the Defiance's bridge, Captain Lisa Hayes watched the stars. She took a slow sip of coffee. Should we send flowers? Behind her, the galaxy burned with the truth. The wreckage of the Vorak fleet drifted in high orbit. Their once proud warships now little more than scorched husks caught in Earth's gravity. Well, Admiral Petra NGO watched from the bridge of the Defiance as repair crews swarmed over the damaged human vessels. The hyperstorm had dissipated exactly on schedule, just as Dr. Vance had predicted. Transmission from the Federation Council coming through, Comms Officer Ruiz announced. They're requesting an emergency session. NGO smirked. Put them through. The main screen flickered to life, displaying the Galactic Federation chamber in disarray. Ambassador Krellick's chitinous faceplates had lost their usual polished sheen. Behind him, dozens of alien delegates murmured nervously, their appendages twitching. Admiral NGO, Krellick began, his voice uncharacteristically strained. The Federation wishes to discuss recent events. General Cole's image appeared beside NGO's feed. Discuss. He barked a laugh. You mean explain why your precious GCWS helped the Vorak plan an invasion? A ripple of shock passed through the chamber. High prognosticator Vex's frills flushed crimson. Preposterous. The hyperstorm was a natural phenomenon. Bullshit, Dr. Vance cut in, pushing his way onto the screen. His fingers danced across a portable console. Let me show you exactly how natural it was. A data stream flooded the chamber's displays, intercepted Vorak transmissions, energy signatures matching their warp drives, timestamps aligning with the GCWS's predictions. The most damning evidence played last. Vex himself recorded 3 weeks earlier, explaining how the storm would soften Earth's defenses for the attack. The chamber erupted. 3 Octavian delegates immediately retracted their tentacles in disgust. As Cerelion ambassadors' floating orbs darkened to pitch black, Krelix raised his forelimbs. This changes things. Cole leaned forward. Damn right it does. You gave the Vorak cover to invade. You left billions of humans to die. His scarred face twisted into something dangerous. Now you're going to learn what happens when you try that shit with us. On the Defiance's tactical display, every remaining human warship-powered weapons across the solar system, orbital defense platforms swiveled to face the Zephyrian observation fleet hovering just beyond Pluto's orbit. Captain Lisa Hayes appeared on a secondary screen, standing in what remained of the GCWS's main control center on Luna. We've been busy while you were talking. She gestured to the banks of consoles behind her, now manned by human technicians. Turns out your weather service has some interesting capabilities. Vance grinned. Like predicting solar flares with fei-fei accuracy. Funny how that works. Prognosticator Vex's frills went completely flat against his skull. You wouldn't dare. Hayes sipped from a steaming coffee mug. Wouldn't we? A new alert blared across every Federation channel. The main display switched to show the Vorak homeworld Zenthar Fey, with a flashing red warning overlay. Text scrolled beneath it in 100 languages. Cataclysmic solar flare detected. Impact in Fey hours. Evacuation impossible. The chamber descended into chaos. Vex screamed something unintelligible before his feed cut out abruptly. Krelix stumbled back, his carapace rattling. Cole crossed his arms. Here is the new forecast. The Vorak have 3 days to surrender unconditionally. Every warship, every colony, every scrap of military data. Or, he nodded to Hayes. The countdown on the screen ticked to fei-fei-fei. Hayes took another sip of coffee. Should we send flowers to the funeral? On the bridge of the Defiance, Admiral NGO watched the Zephyrian observation fleet begin emergency maneuvers. Heading away from Sol at maximum speed, she allowed herself a small smile. All stations stand down from battle alert, she ordered. But keep weapons hot. Let's see how long it takes them to... Admiral, Ruiz interrupted. Incoming transmission from Zenthar Fey. It is Fleetmaster Krax. The view screen split. Krax's once imposing figure now looked diminished. His battle armor dented, one eye swollen shut. Behind him, the bridge of the Fang of Zenthar flickered with emergency lighting. Human vessels, he rasped. This is Fleetmaster Krax of the Vorak Armada. We wish to discuss terms of surrender. A cheer erupted through the Defiance. NGO let it continue for precisely 3 seconds before raising a hand for silence. Terms are simple, she said. Full disarmament. All Vorak forces returned to Zenthar Fey immediately. Military governors installed on every colony, and she glanced at Cole, who nodded. The GCWS gets rebuilt under human supervision. Krax's mandibles twitched. You would leave us defenseless. Cole leaned into the feed. Like you tried to do to us. No, we're not monsters. He tapped a command into his console. The countdown froze at fei-fei-fei. But cross us again, and next time we won't stop the clock. The transmission cut in the silence that followed. Dr. Vance stretched his arms behind his head. Well, that was fun. Who is up for rewriting some more weather predictions? Hayes smirked. I hear the Zephyrian homeworld has lovely monsoons this time of year. On the main screen, the Federation delegates were still scrambling. Krelix appeared to be arguing with 3 different species simultaneously. NGO turned to Cole. Think they'll behave now. Cole watched as the last Vorak warships began limping toward jump points. For a while, until the next species thinks we're weak. He clapped a hand on Vance's shoulder. Good thing we've got the best meteorologists in the galaxy now. Outside the Defiance's viewports, Earth hung blue and serene against the stars. The hyperstorm's last traces shimmered like distant lightning. Somewhere beyond the orbit of Mars, a human repair crew laughed as they welded a salvaged Vorak cannon onto the Atlantica's hull. Hayes raised her coffee mug in a silent toast, The countdown remained frozen, a promise, a warning, a forecast.